So here's the thing, guys. When I was 9 years old, fell in love with a big woman. Her name was. Welcome back and thanks for joining us. If you're here for the first time, remember to
Let's it.
For those of you who are new, the new subscribers, big up yourself. Thanks for joining us. And if you're here for the first time, I'm Paul, my wife is Tina. We're parent 3 girls, a teenager, and a set of twins. That's 2 years old. Coming April or May, or even March, I don't know, we'll be expecting our second set of twin girls. We're a family of music lovers who we're all about God and music. So interesting too. Subscribe to follow us for more, right? For those of you who are wondering, yes, Tina has given approval for this video, and that is my disclaimer. I will still have a wife after the airing of this video. With that said, let's get into it. Alright, so when I was 9 years old, prep school, I used to go to my father's office some days after work. After school. Boy, I clearly thought I was a big man already. I'm leaving work and school and calling it work.
No, you're going to work at 9 years old.
Going to prep school as a smooth operator, 9 years old. Used to go to my father's office some days after school. I don't remember why exactly I would go to his office some days, but I did. Found love, guys. Found love at 9. Not going to tell you her name, but I think she was a brownie, a nice brownie. And you know me, tall, dark, handsome. What I normally did, I normally went downstairs to sharpen my pencil, make up some excuse to go downstairs. My father used to work upstairs and she's downstairs, so I would make up an excuse to go downstairs now. To sharpen my phone, I need to just sharpen my pencil at the mechanical, sharpener that they have downstairs. And that was my chance, to just interact and whatever. Long story short, it never worked out. It wasn't me, it was her. And I don't even remember how she looked right now. The point is, from that time, I knew I wanted to get married. How I knew I wanted to get married? It just looked nice. My parents were married, grew up in a Christian household, father's a pastor, and it just felt right for a man to be with her. I don't know why I had that impression at 9 years old. I really couldn't tell you exactly what was going through my little brain, but clearly it was not just about, I love this person. It's like, I need to get married. And I remember telling my mother as well that I want to get married by 19, have my house and my car and all that, move out and all that and leave them and whatever. But that was always my plan from that early age to get married. So eventually, 15 years later, I would have gotten married. Not to the same browning, but a different one. Big up yourself, my baby mother, Tina. So yeah, end up getting married. And that decision was met with the usual questions by people. So your parents are going to have questions. Friends, people who you're acquainted with will have encouraging words. Some persons have discouraging words, or not necessarily discouraging, but they'll be saying, you sure about this? What about this? What about that? And there's certain things that would normally come up in these discussions. Right, so as a 24-year-old, that's the first red flag for people. Like, yo, just hold on. You're a youth, you're too young. And oftentimes in the church, they're going to say, you're getting married because of sex. Right? So I'm going to tell you that that is a consideration in the church for to maintain sexual purity. So Paul said better to marry than to burn. That's Apostle Paul, not me. Better to marry than to burn with the desires. And that is a consideration for many persons. So that was something that persons would normally throw out. Is this just because of this, or is there something more going on? Another thing that I would ask about is the financial stability. You can marry a woman you can pay rent, you're going to leave your parents' house, you can cook your own meals and handle all these big grown-up expenses. And I think, again, it's just a matter of people trying to get us into the reality that, just be clear that this decision is going to include or come with this as a package. Another thing is a question of my maturity. For me personally, this is never a question because as far as I knew and know, I'm currently like 55 going 60 in terms of my noggins. You'd have to interact with me on a personal level to know, and I'm sure people who know me personally would say this boy wanna become a big man from a long time. But it is something that people ask you in terms of maturity, because marriage is no joke, guys. You're living with somebody in the same space, it's going to become complicated, no matter how much you're so enamored and in love with this other being, right? The maturity level is something that always comes into question. And of course, the compatibility. So outside of this sex that you want to have, in terms of getting along, just being around the person, doing nothing, enjoy that. Going out, doing something, enjoy that. Learning to ignore what can be ignored and tolerate what can be tolerated. Learning to, speak out, speak your mind without being offensive or taking offense at the least things. Those kind of things where you're able to grow and work together in harmony. Extremely important to establish that compatibility. So those are all the things that people would have been throwing at me, and that I would have been asking myself regardless about this preparation for this next big step. Spiritual compatibility is a big, big topic. So if you're a Christian, the other person not saved, it's going to be very difficult for you to say eye to eye. Fundamentally because you are thinking as a Christian to honor God. The person is thinking to honor flesh. So their motivation and what they abide by, the rules they abide by, is a different set of cards where you will be eventually be put in a place inevitably to compromise your spirituality if it is that you aren't seeing eye to eye on that level. So that is something else to consider. It wasn't something for me because my other half is, and at that time was already a Christian. So my question to you is, what do you think is the ideal age, and not just age, the ideal state of mind or conditions for somebody to say, yes, I'm ready to go into marriage now? Let me know in the comments and we can get a conversation going. So the things that I just listed a while ago are some of the things that you'll be asked by persons who are your loved ones, or things that you will need to ask yourself in terms of, I'm taking this big step. What am I really getting into? Here's my advice from my experience. So you may be asking yourself the question, should I get married in 2021? Well, here's my advice. First one, you may be saying, well, it's a COVID year and pandemic. I think it's a beautiful opportunity. You know why? It will cost you less and you can blame the government. Andrew's shoulder very broad, blame the Prime Minister. Oh, I would have invited the whole world, but they said it's only 15 people. So the reason I'm saying this is because many times some of us get into personal difficulty financially because we overextend ourselves by running up the credit card, taking out loan, and spending all money that we do have on a big wedding event, feeling like we need to invite everybody we knew from primary school and basic school. The truth is, COVID time now, you can invite 15 people. Personally, my wedding was only about 25 people, including pastor, and we never fed the photographers, but everybody else, there was no bridal party, none of those big things. And I think we're doing okay now. We spent roughly around 200 to 250,000. And that would have covered what wear the wedding dress, the suit, catering, which was about 70,000 for, yes, just 25 people. Did it even include our overnight at where we got married? I think it did. So basically, that chunk of money, right, it covered the venue, renting the venue, it covered the photographers, and basically we decided to be deliberate in not overspending on the day, because you have a life to share, you know? And the real event is a lifetime, not the moment at the wedding. Remember that. Next thing, plan to get married, don't do it for the sex. Don't let that be your only reason, right? You could be Christian still. Don't let that be your only motivation. You need to establish compatibility on different levels. You need to also go to counseling. So one way you may think, oh, get along so nice, when you go to your own house is one thing. But the premarital counseling that we did allowed us to see things as if we were already married. So questions that were posed really serve to unearth and expose our thinking to chores, to children, raising a family, education, and future career and all that. And those things can be deal breakers or showstoppers. And you should explore that level of compatibility of living together outside of even just the vibe that you feel when you go out or when you're partying. And I know you're thinking that, but how can we get married and establish compatibility if we don't know if certain things on our bodies are compatible? Well, it's not guinea season, so you're not tasting and buying. Be careful about it. And on a serious note, guys, what I learned is God's way is not just right because He's God. It's better, and it's a reason why God said to do certain things. So be careful about it and approach it in everything like always. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will do what? He'll rectify, because He plans good things for you. Alright, so this leads to my next point. Big point. Pray. Pray. So outside of the 1 Thessalonians 5, 16 to 18 that I've been preaching, rejoice always, pray always, give thanks always, pray. Because what? God is the only person, the only being who knows the future. So things may be rosy now, oh, in love, love this, love that. But God knows the future, God knows character, and not just the physical. Be prayerful about every step. Don't set anything in stone, right? Because even in engagement, you may find something out that is a red flag. I just need to make a decision. Better that than end up having a difficult separation after marriage. Cool. Next thing you need to consider, financial stability. Now, this looks like different things to different people. So one person may think financial stability means the man being able to take care of everything on his own. Another person may think that it means being able to care for your family, both man and woman chipping in to take care of rent or mortgage, food and bills and stuff like that. For us, it meant being able to live independently of financial input from anybody else. So if you can get by without relying, you can help me with this, or constantly getting help from my parents or constantly getting help from friends, are you on sound ground to say we can embark on this together right now and be able to sustain ourselves in the foreseeable future? I think that's a good consideration. And you move on. For the man, I would say ensure that you are in a stable financial position meaning that your income is not too, what were you looking for? Sporadic? That's a good word.
Sporadic, yeah, that's good.
Comes and goes, or there are ebbs and flows, peaks and troughs. Women value consistency and stability, and it's important for peace of mind for your wife, which means peace of mind for you, that you ensure that you are able to maintain, even if you're not asking to be the only person bringing bread to the table, but ensure that your contribution is consistent and reliable. So trust me, even if you don't think it now, every well-thinking man, it will play on your mind if it is that you cannot meet that kind of a basic minimum for your family. So that is something for you to consider as a guy. Final thing I'm going to say to you today is to look on maturity. So objectively evaluate not just yourself but your spouse's maturity. I can bring this home in a concept that I told Tina. I don't know if she fully buy into it as yet, but hear this out. For sure, marriage will have problems and you will have conflict and arguments. Now I have this theory. It's original. It's called upset that versus upset at. And what this means is we have a conflict. Me and Tina feuding right now, and she does something and I am heated about it. The typical response is for somebody to be upset at the individual. I'm upset at Tina for doing X, Y, Z. But what I think, guys, let's not be upset at the person. We can be upset that the person did X. And that would eventually change the perspective of you beating up on the other person. And it makes it become more goal and solution oriented. If it is the person is also like-minded and has a similar level of maturity, so also look on the issue in that same way. You need to objectively, and even ask a friend or two for them to objectively, because sometimes we can be too easy or too hard on ourselves. Ask a friend for them to objectively say, hey, what do you think of, my maturity level for my age, X, Y, Z, certain things like that. And you can, have a better approach going into this big deal. All right, so look at us now. Look at me, Tina. No, we're 4 years married, and things are not perfect, but they're perfect. And my point is, no two scenarios will look exactly alike. I'm not going to tell you that we are a blueprint, or your mother and your father are a blueprint. It's a personal thing. Only you will know what works for you. You, your partner, and who? God. So I want to hear from you. Are you married? What were your questions that your friends, your family were throwing out at you? What was going through your mind? The thoughts that never left you, the thoughts that kept you up at night. Are you planning to get married? What is weighing on your heart as well? Let me know. Drop it in the comments. Love to have this conversation going. And until next time, big up from me and my host. Take care.